My fellow Nigerians, invisible audience in the shadows of my mind, or perhaps just the ghosts of elections past haunting the studio this morning. Welcome to the agenda today. I am Chike Obogu. All right, 12 words, 512 polling units with 272,196 registered voters, 526 beavers machines with 48 other backup beavers. These are for use on election day, August 16, 2025, where we have 2,062 ad hoc officials all set for the upcoming Ibadan North Federal Constituency by-election. But let's start with this story. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reaffirmed its readiness to conduct the Ibadan North Federal Constituency by-election, scheduled to hold this Saturday, August 16, 2025. This follows the recent vacancy in the House of Representatives caused by the passing of the former lawmaker representing the constituency, Olaide Akinremi, the one people know as Jagaban. Meanwhile, INEC officials, political parties, and security agencies are now fully mobilized for the exercise. Speaking at the INEC Collation Center in Ibadan, the resident electoral commissioner for Oyo State, Dr. Adeniro Rahman Tella, confirmed that all is now set for the by-election. In line with the 1999 Constitution and the Electoral Act 2022, the commission is required to fill any vacant legislative seat within 90 days. Although this particular process was delayed due to logistics and financial constraints, the commission says it is now fully prepared. Meanwhile, 5 political parties which were accredited by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the Ibadan North Federal Constituency by-election scheduled for Saturday, 16th August 2025, have signed a peace pact. Candidates of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Akin Alamu Dexter Femi, All Progressives Congress, Olawale Hastrop Olatunji. Of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, we have Chief Mrs. Olajumoke Olabisi Odushusi. For the People's Democratic Party, we have Honorable Fola Oyekunle. And we had the chairman of the Zenith Labour Party, Ademola Ojo, representing the candidate, Ahmed Badmus. And these were the people who came together to sign the peace pact. Let's get to see what happened at the INEC office yesterday in Ibadan.
The distribution of financial inducement.
The signing of this peace accord is so crucial and it goes towards ensuring free, fair, transparent election. As we embark on this critical process, I would like to seek this opportunity once again to urge all relevant stakeholders to apply to the principles outlined in this peace accord. Let us work together to create an environment that allows voters to exercise their rights.
Recognizance and undertaking to keep peace and good conduct among underlisted political actors and their supporters before, during, and after the election. Call is ADC Akin Alamu Dexter Femi.
I'm writing my name.
Mr. Oyekunle Fola Sunday.
Yes, those clips from the INEC Coalition Center in Ibadan yesterday. Well, security agencies under the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, ICCES, led by the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, CP Femi Aruna, have assured residents of adequate security measures before, during, and after the elections. Let's get to listen to the Commissioner of Police or Oyo State Command.
To the garrison, as the garrison commander of duty on that day, since
The accord serves as a binding commitment for all parties to maintain peace and good conduct during and after the election, while firmly discouraging any form of electoral violence. The following key resolutions were agreed upon. 1. That no quasi organizations, including state-backed group, will be permitted to participate in Saturday by-election. Enforcement of electoral laws. All electoral laws remain in force. There shall be no campaign or display of political insignias or logo at polling units and wards on election day. Alcohol ban. The sale of consumptions of alcohol beverages is strictly prohibited around the polling unit and wards to maintain decorum and order. Uniform personnel restrictions. No uniform personnel shall escort aspirants to cast their votes at polling units or wards on the day of the election. Ban on inducement. The distribution of financial inducement or any form of coercion to influence voters is strictly.
All right, the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, Femi Aruna, speaking there. Well, let's get to the crux of the matter. I sit before you this morning in the studio to unravel a ritual that has become as Nigerian as jollof rice at a wedding. And that's the signing of peace pacts before our elections. Effective tool for harmony or just a grand pretense? Well, a handshake that binds or a veil that hides the daggers? I have watched this dance for decades as a journalist covering elections. But let me take you on this journey for the next 40 minutes. 40 minutes of truth-seeking. Because in Nigeria, time is the one thing we have in abundance, even if peace is not. Let us start at the beginning. Remember, I'm saying this. Picture this in your mind. Picture this in your mind. It is 2015. The air thick with tension like harmattan dust, choking the streets of Ibadan. Nigeria is on the brink. President Goodluck Jonathan, the man from the creeks of Bayelsa, facing off against General Muhammadu Buhari, the stern figure from the north. Whispers of violence everywhere. Memories of 2011 still fresh, when post-election clashes claimed over 800 lives, turning streets into battlegrounds. Remember, it is a picture in your mind. Let us enter the National Peace Committee, chaired by the Venerable General Abdulsalami Abubakar, a man who knows a thing or two about transitions, having handed power back to civilians in 1999. They convene in Abuja, the artificial capital of marble and mirages, and craft the Abuja Accord. All major candidates sign it. A pledge to run issue-based campaigns. A pledge to shun violence. A pledge to accept results if free and fair. What if it's not free and fair? But there is an accord that has been signed. No religious incitements. A pledge to no ethnic profiling. A pledge to no thuggery. These sound beautiful, doesn't it? It sounds as beautiful as a wedding vow under the stars. And oh, the fanfare. You have international observers giving the applause. You also have the Commonwealth. You have the United Nations. Even the Kofi Annan Foundation sends blessings. And then, Eureka! Muhammadu Buhari wins. Jonathan concedes gracefully. And this is the first time an incumbent loses and steps aside without bloodbaths. Headlines scream with these words, "Peace Accord saves Nigeria." Some say it worked. It set a tone. It forced politicians to at least pretend civility. The committee's report later credits the accord with reducing overt incitements and also fostering dialogue. Was it effective? Perhaps. It gave us a peaceful transition, a rarity in our history, scared by coups and civil war. But was it the accord? Was it the accord that brought peace? Or was it just Jonathan's personal grace? The cynic in me whispers pretense. After all, 58 people still died in election-related violence across 22 states that year. And that was according to the National Human Rights Commission. Thugs in Rivers State, ballot snatching in Kano. The ink on that pact, which was barely dry, was already stained at that moment. And then let's fast forward to 2019. Dear co-traveler, remember, picture this in your mind. The stage is set again. The same actors, but a slight remix. Buhari again, seeking a re-election against Atiku Abubakar, who is the perennial contender. The Peace Committee, this time undeterred, demands not one, but two signings. One in December 2018 at the start of campaigns. And then the second one, a renewal in February 2019, just some days before the polls. They called it renewal of pledges. Interesting. Candidates gather in Abuja's International Conference Center. Smiles plastered like campaign posters. They vow. These issues-based debates. They vow to no hate speech. They vow to respect INEC. They vow to accept the outcome, no matter what it is. Then, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the former Liberian president, witnessed it. United Nations Muhammad Ibn Chambers urged the participants to accept whatever comes. The accord even includes party chairmen, which then broadened the net. Did the accord work? Did that peace pact work? Well, Buhari wins again. Atiku challenges in court, but peacefully. No nationwide riots like 2011. The Center for Democracy and Development notes fewer fatalities than before, saying around 200, but it's still tragic. A life lost is a big problem in the country, but 200 is still tragic. But it was a dip from 800. Supporters point to this, which is that the accord creates international pressure. They point that the accord makes violence costlier in reputation. The accord, however, promotes pre-election dialogues where rivals shake hands on camera. They humanize the beasts of politics. In states like Kaduna, where ethnic tensions simmer, local peace pacts echoed the national one, averting some clashes. I remember interviewing a party official back then, and he said, and I quote him, "The accord is like a moral compass. The accord is not perfect, but it points north." Effective then? It builds trust, or at least the illusion of it. It builds it. But in fragile democracies like ours, it is half the battle. But then let's peel back these layers. Let's peel the layers. Pretense screams louder here. Despite the accords, in 2019, we saw brazen violations. In Kogi State, thugs barred an opposition candidate from even entering the signing venue. You can imagine. How do you sign peace when the door is slammed in your face? Reports from ACLED, an election observer, says that conflict, which is the conflict data group, the report details spikes in political violence. It details spikes in assassinations. It details spikes in attacks on rallies. It details spikes on voter intimidation. If you look at Imo State, if you followed what happened in Imo State then, gunmen targeted party spokesmen. In Osun State, leaders of political parties threatened violence openly. There was an accord. Seemingly, the accord lacks teeth. And why did I say that? Because at that moment, there was no enforcement mechanism. There were no penalties beyond public shaming. At that time. Even I doubt if it is still there now. Politicians sign with one hand. Some of them fund militias with the other hand. Is the accord now a photo op? Is the accord a ritual to appease donors and diplomats? One analyst put it in a Punch newspaper op-ed, and I quote him. He says, "Peace accord and Nigeria's laudable general elections." It will be a topic I'll be discussing with an analyst in coming days. But is this not laudable if it happens? With INEC servers allegedly hacked, with results disputed, with youth corps members killed, is this not pretense? Is this not pure and simple pretense? Now let's fast forward to 2023. The election that tested us all. Then the date was February 25, 2023. The air became heavier than ever. What happened? Buhari's term came to an end. There was no third term nonsense. The front runners were Bola Tinubu of the APC. Another perennial contestant, Atiku Abubakar again. And then came Peter Obi of the Labour Party, the acclaimed youth favorite, the obedience chanting change. The Peace Committee reconvenes again. They first signed in September 2022 when campaigns kicked off. 18 candidates inked the deal. Well, the campaigns were peaceful, no incitement. There was equal media access. But during the signing of the peace accord, Bola Tinubu skips the event. He sends his running mate instead. Remember, I told you, picture this in your mind. He sent his running mate, Kashim Shettima. Peter Obi signed, Atiku signed, but the presidential candidate of the AAC, Omoyele Sowore, asked a question. He said, "Why sign a peace accord when we are not at war?" Let's listen to Omoyele Sowore this morning.
Shows that elections have become war in Nigeria. This is the only country in the world where you sign a peace agreement during an election season as if we are at war. But that is what our elders did to Nigeria. And I think next time we should sign a peace agreement with the elders who are instigating violence in this country, or have them sign peace agreements between themselves. Because peace is not breached by poor people. Poor people suffer the consequences of violence. When you look at elections, the people that suffer the most are those poor women and men. And when there's a breakdown in law and order in Nigeria, every rich man, politically connected, gets enough police protection, and they're able to get on the jets and leave Nigeria at the slightest provocation. This is where we are. And I should also say that some of the people that instigate us of violence during the election are not in this hall. They are the vassal representatives of some of the men and women in this hall. They are state governors in particular. You need to get them to sign the peace accord. There are some of them as the most violent and virulent people in Nigeria. They demonstrated it.
Omoyele Sowore there. Bold words, echoing many hearts. A second signing of that peace accord was in February 2023, just days before the polls. All of them commit again. Yet, what unfolds? Armed Conflicts Location and Event Data, that's ACLED, reports unprecedented pre-election violence. Over 100 incidents. Candidates assassinated in Imo and Enugu. Rallies bombed in River State. In Lagos State, there was ethnic slur flying around. These go back to your state syndrome in Lagos State. Despite the peace accord, they ignored the accord's ban on profiling. Post-election, Tinubu wins amid cries of rigging. Obi and Atiku petition courts peacefully, but protests erupt. Protests suppressed. Over 200 deaths overall. That's an estimate. But was the accord effective? Well, you will say there was no civil war. You will say there was no military intervention. The accord, perhaps, kept the lead on total chaos. The National Peace Committee's interventions, such as mediating disputes, helped at that time. Switzerland even supported it, highlighting what was at stake globally. But is it pretense? Oh, resoundingly. Resoundingly. Crisis Group warned in their report, titled Mitigating Risks of Violence in Nigeria's 2023 Elections. They reiterated that accords are symbolic, ignored when power is at stake. If you look at what happened in Osun State, the ruling party then denied opposition rally venues. And that's breaching equal access privileges or pledges during the peace accord. Some will say, oh, timing is wrong. It's signed too late after primaries that were rife with violence. Some will tell you that the scope was just too narrow. that it's only top candidates, not governors or local thugs, who may be alleged to fueling the fire, and they don't get to sign this. There was a LinkedIn post I stumbled on in 2024. It was called Delegative Democracy, where elites perform for the cameras, then delegate violence to their proxies. Let me take a break here. I'll be back after this break. Stick around. Don't go away. It's The Agenda.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that break. We've been talking about peace accord in Nigerian politics. I've been giving you a picture from 2015 to 2019 to 2023. There was a peace accord meeting in Ibadan yesterday ahead of the August 16, 2025 by-election for the vacant seat in Ibadan North Federal Constituency. 5 candidates signed the peace accord yesterday. The candidate of the ADC, Femi Akinlamu Dexter. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Olawale Hastrop Olatunji. And then we also had the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Chief Mrs. Olajumoke Olabisi Odunshusi. The candidate of the PDP, that's the People's Democratic Party, Honorable Fola Oyekunle, and the chairman of the Zenith Labour Party in Oyo State, Honorable Ademola Ojo, representing Ahmed Badmos, the candidate of the ZLP. These people signed the peace pact in Oyo State. Security agencies under the Interagency Consultative Committee on Elections Security, led by the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, CP Femi Aruna, assured residents of Ibadan North adequate security measures before, during, and after the election. Also, speaking at the INEC Collation Center in Ibadan, the resident electoral commissioner of Oyo State, Adeniran Ramontela, confirmed that all is now set for the by-election. Let's get to listen to what transpired at the INEC Collation Center again yesterday.
The signing of this peace accord is so crucial and it goes towards ensuring free, fair, transparent election. As we embark on this critical process, I would like to seek this opportunity once again to urge all relevant stakeholders to apply to the principles outlined in this peace accord. Let us work together to create an environment that allows voters to exercise their rights.
Recognizance and undertaking to keep peace and good conduct among underlisted political actors and their supporters before, during, and after the election. Call is ADC, Aki Alamu, Destra Femi.
I'm writing my name.
Mr. Oyekule Bola Sunday. Mr. Olatunji Abga Odushusi Olajumoke Olabisi.
You saw them signing those things there, those documents. It was a peace pact. The ink did the work. I hope it will be peaceful as it has been signed and agreed upon. So where does this leave us as we eye 2027? Here in 2025, the dust of 2023 barely settled. Murmurs of new pacts already stir. Is it effective or is it pretense? For me, I'll say both. Effective in aspiration. It signals intent. It draws eyes from the world. It forces minimal restraint. In 2015, it arguably enabled our first peaceful handover. It fosters a culture, slow culture, but it's growing. A culture where violence is not the default. The Kofi Annan Foundation's text of the 2019 Peace Accord, it reads like a poetry. And I quote that part: united, democratic, prosperous Nigeria, end of quote. I quote again: united, democratic, a prosperous Nigeria. End of quote. But who can argue with that? Yet, pretense in execution. No monitoring body with power. No sanctions. Politicians sign knowing it is unenforceable. It's like promising to diet while eyeing akara. You want to diet, but you are eyeing akara. Violence persists because root causes such as poverty, weak institutions, inequality remain amongst us. If you see the document on peace accord and electoral violence in Nigeria 2015 and 2019, it argues this. It says it's policy without teeth. I've seen it in that document. You look at social constructions of fear. It drives violations. But there's one national question we need to ask. Rotational presidency debates, that one is on the rage. But you see, that question, why is it that the peace accord ignores this rotational presidency debate, Muslim ticket, and all that? Why does it focus on surface peace? But what do? We need to strengthen it. We need to make accords binding. When I mean binding, it has to have a legal backing. We need to involve civil societies in monitoring. We need peace accords to be signed earlier, not few days to an election. We need it to be signed earlier. And we also need it to include all levels, not only for presidential candidates, senatorial candidates, House of Reps candidates, governorship candidates or gubernatorial candidates, House of Assembly candidates, local government chairmen, candidates for councillor, candidates for super and co. If we can get it from the grassroots, it will help a lot to instill sanity. We also need to educate voters, because peace is not just for politicians. It's also meant for those who are voting. If you have seen too many widows from election violence, you want to beg that this peace accord should be effective. It should be devoid of pretense. Let me conclude this morning by saying, Nigeria is my love. Nigeria, a country flawed, fierce, resilient. Nigeria, these peace parks are mirrors. They reflect what we could be. But at the end of the day, it is shattered under pressure. Let us as a country choose effectiveness. Let us demand for more. Because if we don't demand for more, we'll keep signing, we'll keep pretending, we'll keep bleeding as a country. I end by saying, may God bless Nigeria. May God guide our leaders right. May the followers also have a rethink and go to the polls in peace, so that they go back home also in peace and not in pieces. Let us keep this conversation going. You can share this to your friends, to your family, to everyone around you. Follow us on all our social media platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The handle is at Dominion Broadcasts. On the app X is at Dominion Cast. You can visit our website at www.dominion.org.ng. My name is Chike Obogu. I have a positive mind. I don't know about you. If you don't, have a positive mind. But if you have a positive mind, stay positive.